Hello all my beautiful sisters from those other misters. Today I am reviewing the Kat Von D Alchemist holographic palette. This palette was sent to me by a viewer named Paula. She also watches Beauty News and I assume she watches Kat as well. So first and foremost, thank you so much Paula. I have been loving this baby. Something else I want to do today is also compare it to some other products that are similar. So first up, let's talk about this actual palette. So the palette here in Australia retails for $50 Australian at Sephora. It's $32 US in the States. You can also get it off the Kat Von D website. And there is 4 shadows in here. They're each 1.53 grams for a total of 6.12 grams. So when we look at the packaging, what we have is a little triangle, which is not typical of a palette shape, but in alchemy, the symbols for like air, fire, water and earth are all represented by a triangle. So fire is a triangle this way and water is a triangle this way. Then we have air, which is a triangle this way with a line at the top, and earth is this way with a line at the bottom. So I think that's what she was going for with the design of the packaging shape. When it comes to how it looks on the outside, I don't think you guys will be able to see it, but there is a really beautiful, subtle holographic shift on the packaging. There's also some filigree patterns and the letter A, which I assume stands for alchemist. Inside we do have a little mirror. It's a triangle mirror and I honestly don't think it's really great for doing much of anything. It's kind of, it's not really big enough to be useful, I personally feel. Looking at the colours, we've got emerald, which is described as green, and this is kind of, it's almost like a pale grass green with some yellowy gold notes to it. Beautiful colour. We've also got amethyst, which is described as ultraviolet. I personally think amethyst is the best possible way to describe this shade because it's a beautiful vibrant purple with some really, really slight blue tones to it. Then we have sapphire. This is described as blue and it really is like a pale aqua blue. I don't have anything like this in my collection and it is my favourite shade in the palette. Then we have opal. This is described as pink and that's exactly what it is, just a straight up pretty pink shade. When we look at the formula of these, they are very, very smooth. So they're not glittery and they're not really shimmery. They are a glowy highlight. Now they are in a white base or a translucent base. And I just want to be very clear that it's not completely transparent, okay? If you really try and layer these up, you can see a white cast on the skin, so you have to be careful of that. However, the actual color shifting pigment in them is quite intense, so when you are out and the light is like hitting you, you know, on your cheekbones or wherever you apply the highlight, the colors really will pop out. So you don't need to apply a lot for a punchy effect. Alright, let's talk about how I've used the palette and how the product performed in those different application methods. So obviously I have used this as a highlight. Today I am wearing sapphire, which is the blue shade, on my cheekbones. Hopefully you can see that. I also have opal on my inner corner. I have amethyst on my brow bone, which I don't think you'll be able to see. I have emerald on my lower lash line over a black eyeliner, and I have sapphire on my lipstick, on my center of my lower lip and upper lip. As a highlight, I really like it. Again, don't apply too much because you will get a white cast. You don't need a lot for a really beautiful like color payoff. I feel like when we do our makeup inside, you can't get a good grasp of how natural lighting is going to affect the way your makeup looks. And these perform really nicely under good lighting. So you don't need a whole lot. they do reflect a lot of light, and they do it quite evenly. So something like my Anastasia Glow Kit in Moonchild, I find that this shows up a lot of skin texture on me, whereas this doesn't. Now, I don't have super textured skin, however, I'm not baby butt smooth either. So when it comes to like the type of formula I like for a highlighter to not show up texture on my face, it is this more smooth finish where it's more of a glow rather than this like crazy sort of high shine reflect. I have used this as an eyeshadow and an eyeshadow topper. So using it as an eyeshadow, I like to do a nice smoky crease and outer corner, and then I pat this quite heavily over the eyelid. And it does give that sort of white-ish look that you can see in the pan now. However, it also gives you a really beautiful color reflect. Using it over the top of other shadows, it pretty much changes your whole eyeshadow collection and adds like extra color and dimension with just tapping a tiny bit of these over the top of whatever you have on your eyelid. So I love how this has sort of inspired me to dig into similar products. I have a pile of them here that I've been experimenting with and like seeing how I can change up my everyday makeup really simply with just a tiny tap of a different product. When you apply these over a black base, I think that's where these become really interesting. I haven't tried it with the other dark colors, but I would assume that it would work. You would just have a slightly different undertone. With black, so typically I apply it over a black eyeliner, you get to keep the definition and the depth and the smokiness of the black, but then you get this really pretty sort of color sheen. So I've been thinking something I want to do is a totally like black smoky eye and then do an ombre with these shades. I reckon that would be fucking wicked. I just got to find the time to do it. But that's the sort of thing that this palette, you can do so much with it. It's so diverse. The only thing that limits you is your imagination, and I love that. Alright, I've been talking way too long. Let's get on to some comparisons. First up is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Moonchild Palette. Alright, you've seen me swatch this thing a million times, so I'm getting on to my final thoughts. Personally, I love this palette. Over everything you've seen today, all of my like color shifting, pretty beautiful highlights, this is my favorite. And this is my favorite because it contains a completely unique shade with this blue sapphire up here, and the finish is gorgeous, smooth and glowy and radiant rather than sparkly. Like I am dead set over sparkly highlight. I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks on skin. It's just not me. I'm not into it. I'm totally into that like radiant glow that stuff like this gives me. So personally, I think this palette is like, it's different. So many people are like, oh, it's a dupe for the fucking Moonchild. It's not. It's absolutely not. It has similarities, but they are not dupes. And if you have one and you are really interested in buying the other, you can, because they are different enough. However, if you have Moonchild and you don't really like that like color shifting highlight, you might not really be into the Alchemist palette. If you find that Moonchild shows up too much texture on your skin, you might actually love the way Alchemist applies. So, you know, there's lots of things to take into consideration, and personally, if I was going to recommend one of these or this compared to anything else that I showed you guys today or that you saw in this video, I would recommend this. The Zoeva one, it's similar, but I think this is better. I really love the Zoeva one. It was in my favorites not long ago, and it's still a favorite, but I think this trumps it, to be honest. So take that information and do what you will with it. Alright guys, that's it for me today. Feel free to let me know your thoughts on this review or this product if you've tried it down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!